It's another community conversation, and this week we've got a special edition. It is Women's Week 2022 here at the People's Cathedral under the theme, You Are Enough. And guess what? This evening, we've got a fun episode for you. You might be wondering what madness or craziness Claire is up to, but don't worry, I'm going to explain it all shortly. I've got a couple of friends coming along with me this evening, and we are going to have a good time. And I got some questions to ask, right? But this episode, let me make this disclaimer first. This is especially for my ladies in the congregation. But men, don't feel left out, right? Because I know some of y'all don't know some of this information that we're about to share too. But anyway, I can move myself out the way because it's time to get community conversations started. Let me go. Have you ever wondered what all of these numbers and all of these bottles mean when you go and buy stuff from the car place? Or you ever look at your tire and realize it got real enough words on it and you don't know what none of them mean? Come with me. Or you've got some of these in your trunk and you still don't know how to use them correctly. Don't worry, along with the People's Cathedral and the Women's Ministry, we have you covered this evening because I have a very special friend here with me, and you heard me correctly, she is going to teach us all about the basic things we need to know about keeping our car up to good standards. And that way you might not have to worry about always calling the mechanic, but don't worry, we have you covered. And ladies, you are going to be able to teach your men some of these because, as I said earlier, trust and believe there are men out there that still don't even know how to do these basic things. And it's not no shame. We're all here to grow and all here to learn. So join us now because we're learning all this evening about how to keep up with your car. Welcome back. As promised, I told you that I had a very special friend with me today. I am not going to introduce her. I'm going to let her do that herself. So I'm going to go right ahead and move out of the way. Olivia, nice to have you here with us on Community Conversation. I know this is your first one, yes, it is. But we are very excited about today. So before we even get anything to do with the car, tell us a little bit about yourself first.
Hi, my name is Olivia Nichols. I'm a demo clerk. I do mechanics on the side financially to help with my children.
All right, cool. So you just said that you do mechanics on the side, which is what we're all here about this evening. But I want you to tell us a little bit more about that. So did you study this? Did you go to school for this, Well,
I went to skill training for it, and then I moved on to working with my uncle in a garage.
Okay, nice. So that means that we are in capable hands this evening.
Yes.
All right, good. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to get started. If you have some questions, so you can send them in, and maybe later on we can do a part 2 to this. But we're going to show us in the capable hands of Olivia some very basic stuff about learning all about your car. So, Olivia, we're going to start off with something I think should be basic. It's basic for you, but not for me, right? So when I go to the gas station and I tell the guys, all right, I want to buy a bottle of oil for my car. Then they can tell me, ma'am, you want 1030 or you want 2050? And they don't know what this means. So I see here, this says 10W40 and this is 20W50. So what do these numbers on these oil bottles really mean?
Well, the 2050 is a heavier oil. These are like for the older vehicles.
Okay.
And the 1040 is for the newer vehicles.
For the newer vehicles. Okay, so when you say like older, so like how many years so should I consider if I want to use this?
Well, we're looking at 1998 and so on.
Oh, okay. So
like
and 1998 and back.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Cool. So we know a little bit now. So basically, 2050, the higher the number, the higher the number for the older car.
Older cars.
Right. And the lower the number for the newer your car is. Yeah. All right. Cool. So ladies, remember that when you go into the gas station or you go to Automotive Art or wherever else you go, remember now, if you want oil for your car, you don't even gotta wait for the man. You can say, listen, if my car is a 2021, I would like a 10W40. See, I learned something. Good. All right, so let me move on to the next one.
Sure.
We just learned about the different types of oil. And I see you've got another bottle in your hand. You see why I used to be confused when I got go out to the automotive stores? So many bottles with so much information. So what bottle is this that you have in your hand right now?
I'm holding here the power steering fluid.
Power steering fluid. Now, I'm not too daft, so I've heard that one before. But I will admit, I am not sure when I should put power steering fluid in my car. So can you give us some tips to look out for when it is a good time, or what is a good indicator for power steering fluid?
Well, you use power steering fluid for, like, if you have a little tightness in the steering wheel, or when you have when you are driving or turning, when you're turning, you will find that you're hearing this noise, like a whining noise, like that means like you're leaking fluid on the power steering line somewhere in the engine.
Okay.
So we put in the power steering fluid always to help soften up, the rubbers and stop that noise and help loosen up the steering wheel.
Got you. Okay, so basically, so you're saying, so right, so if I'm driving and I find that when I'm driving it's a little
tight,
too tight, then I might need power steering fluid.
Yes.
Or
Even
I
like
can
you turn
actually
the corner, turn it into a gap, and you find that your steering is have a tightness in it. Look for power steering fluid.
It's tight to put power steering fluid in the car. Okay, so you said, I didn't even know that power steering fluid could leak as well.
Yes.
So sometimes I might think it's oil, but it could be power steering fluid that I'm seeing.
Yes.
So I have to be mindful of all of those things.
Yes, yeah.
All right, so that's another thing now. So ladies and the men that are watching, look out for those couple things. If you realize that you're driving and it's a little tight, or you say if you hear a noise, if you hear a noise, then you may just need power steering fluid. So I'm actually going to let Olivia show us, well, we've had this car here that she's so graciously brought so that we can use as an example. So I'm going to let her show us actually where the bottle for the power steering fluid is. So Olivia, I know that all car engines are made differently. So is it that they are clearly labeled so that if I go and buy power steering fluid today, would I be able to easily find it in my car?
Yes, you'll able to find the power steering bottle. Sometimes it'll be on your left or your right hand, but mine is right here on my left hand. So so when you come here to the top, you will see power steering fluid, and then at the side here we have medium and max. So you could bring the fluid right up to the max level, mean it's good. But once you keep checking, once you're losing power steering fluid and you realize that it keep drifting down to the medium, look out for a leak somewhere. So right now, mine's at medium, meaning I have to top up to the max level.
All right, so Olivia, since we just talked about power steering fluid, I see there's another bottle right above that one. Can you tell us a little bit more now about that bottle?
This bottle here is the brake fluid. Okay, right now, mine's at the maximum level, meaning that my brakes are good, I have no leakage, nothing so is happening.
So explain, I know it may seem obvious, but for those of us that don't know what the brake fluid could do or what it's beneficial for, just give us a little explanation about that.
Okay, the brake fluid now is something like, when you see this fluid move, drifting down, that means that check for brake pads, brake shoes. Or sometimes you got the wheel cylinder, might have a little leak in the cylinder.
Okay.
And you'll find that wheel cylinder, obviously you got to go to the mechanic for that. It's in the back, in the rear, brake shoes.
Okay. So all right, so you're saying so once it starts to go down, then my attention needs to be on my brakes, because that means that.
Or sometimes the master cylinder could be faulty too, as in the rubbers could be want replacing. Okay, here I have in my hand is some transmission fluid. You can put transmission fluid in the power steering, but you cannot put power steering in the transmission, or not you expensing yourself. The reason why I'm using transmission fluid in my power steering is because I run out of power steering fluid. So I'm going to just use a little of this transmission fluid to help bring up the level. And always remember to look to see where the maximum level is, because you don't want to come right up to the top for it to overflow.
All right, cool. So now we've learned about brake fluid, power steering fluid, And I see another green one here, but I think I know what this one is because I've had to put this in my car before. So we're gonna talk about the coolant. But before we get into, reading the signs on the bottle and that different thing, explain the importance of having coolant in your car. Why do I need coolant?
Well, the coolant is the most important thing because the coolant helps to cool down the engine. Right. So in terms of if you don't have the coolant, the engine is going to overheat because you don't have that coolant to cool down the engine at some point in time.
Got you. All right, so now I know when I go to the stores and there are all these different bottles there, sometimes I see coolant red, sometimes I see green. Does it matter which one?
Well, yes, there are two different types of coolant. You have the normal coolant and the antifreeze coolant. The antifreeze coolant is more all-base coolant. The all-base one is like help to lubricate the rubbers and so on, keep the engine, like that part greasy, right?
All right, so that was just about the oil base. So I use the other one for sure, which is the water-based one, right?
Yeah.
Is that just as good or should I just switch?
Well, no, it's how your pocket is. Honestly, because the all-base one, which is the antifreeze one, is more expensive, right? Because that will help keep the plastic and so on.
Good. Okay.
But there's no really different in it because if you don't have the all-base one now, you're using the normal one, you can also top up with the antifreeze one, which is the all-base one.
Okay. So at the end of the day, it just depends on my pocket.
Yes.
But all two work
All two gonna do the same
just
job.
as fine. So ladies, remember that if you need to get coolant at your pocket thing, you can still buy the water-based. And I stand corrected, but if I have using the water-based one, I can top that up with water sometimes.
Yes, you can. Because if you don't have any coolant at home and you need to top up, you have to put in something different.
All right, see? So you're good. So even if you don't have that one, your pipe having water, you can keep your car in cool condition. I was correct in saying that?
Yes.
All right, cool. All right, we're moving on to the next one.
We are into the radiator. So now on mornings, ladies, before you start your car, you got to check for water. So we're here at the radiator, this little go cap here, ladies. So we're gonna on mornings, yes, it will be cool because you don't want to uncover the radiator cap when it's hot because you're gonna injure yourself. You're gonna have some degree burns, and we don't want that.
Listen carefully, ladies. Listen carefully.
So before you move on mornings, always check your water level for your radiator. So we're checking the water level for the radiator. And here we are, right up to the top. It's full.
Okay.
So that is good. So you can cover it back down.
So
I always make sure it covered down because if you don't cover it down properly, the cover could blow off and you can have serious problems.
all right, ladies, remember that. Make sure that it is covered down securely. All right, good. So before we go on any further, right, I've always heard, I want to back a little bit, sorry, to something you said just now about starting your car on mornings. Now, I've always heard my uncles and some of my male friends say, that when you get home morning and you're ready to get in your car, don't just start the car and drive off.
No, you shouldn't.
You shouldn't?
No, you shouldn't.
Okay, so explain to me a little bit about that, because then I hear run it for a little bit and different things. So explain a little bit to our audience about that.
Yes, on mornings when we are getting in our cars, ladies, we always have to make sure the car run at least 3 minutes or 5 minutes the most. Reason why that is being with the car is parked so long overnight, the engine all gonna be set at the bottom. So we're letting the engine run for 3 minutes so that you're giving the all time to get to the top of the head to help lubricate those moving parts, the camshaft and so on. So when you will know that your car is warm enough to move off, you're gonna see a little temperature warning light on your dashboard among your lights. When that light goes off, then you know, well, the engine is at a right temperature. You can move on and head on to work.
I am coming here just in the middle of this video to show you a couple things that Olivia showed me a little earlier. So pay attention to the screen because I want you to be informed. So when you get in your car the next time and one of these lights pop up, now you know what these different lights mean. When you see this light, it means oil pressure warning. So something is wrong with your oil pressure. If you see this one, means that you gotta check on your temperature and make sure that you've got your coolant right, you've got your radiator at the right levels, make sure that you got those things covered. Or if you see this one, it means engine management, means that something wrong, then definitely you gotta call it the big boys or even call Olivia because she could get you handled. And if you see this one, it means that you've got some issues going on with your brakes. And one more important one, because we're going to talk about this one now, we're going to talk about our batteries. So if you see this light come on in your car, you know definitely that something is wrong with your battery and it needs your attention. All right, Olivia, so we switched positions a little bit because we're moving on to this next part here. And I'm interested to know, what is this contraption that you have in your hand? What is that?
What I'm holding in my hand is the air filter.
Okay, air filter. I've had to buy a couple of these when I had to go and get my car serviced. So now, I hope you're going to show me how I can do this myself so I can tell the mechanic the next time you can take that off of the bill, right?
Yes, exactly.
All right. But first, before we do the installation, explain a little bit about what the air filter does.
Okay, what the air filter does is it has to, when we are driving on the road and we got all this dust, it tends to penetrate up to the water head because the engines try to suck.
Right.
So the air filter is going to suck, but it's going to stop all the dust, all sorts of debris, whatever it is that is picking up from outside when we are driving.
Right,
so it stops. So without this air filter, the dust is going to go right into the engine and cause expense for us. So we don't want that. So this is where the air filter will be come into place.
Okay, so something that's so cheap, but it's still going to save us a lot of money in the end. All right, so you're going to show us how to install this now on our own, right?
Of course.
All right, so we're going to see this. Ladies, make sure that you watch because now you can do this on your own. And remember, you can show the men how to do this too. All right, good.
Okay, I'm going to show you all ladies how we change the air filter. So right here, on these clips here, and we can lift up and take out the air filter. And this how. Okay, here is the one I just take out of the car, and here is a brand new air filter. So we can able to tell the difference by the color. Now on this one that I just take out, we're going to see a little darkness here. It means that it already started to stop whatever is coming in the car. And here's a new one. So we can see the difference in both of them. There's a right way and a wrong way of putting the air filter. This is the top of the air filter, and here's the bottom. So we want to put in with the bottom facing down so it can sit down in the housing correctly. So now I'm going to lock. Since it's back in place, I'm going to put on the cover to secure the air filter. There we go, air filter back in place.
We've moved on now. We've just learned how to do our AC filter. Olivia, let me just first of all say thank you because I am saving myself a lot of money. I'm sorry to my mechanic right now if he is watching, but thank you. Thank you, right? But you've got some things in your hands. These have confused me for years. So I usually always have to call somebody to help me get these here sorted out. So I want you to explain to us the correct way, because I believe these are jumper cables, correct?
Yes, they are.
Good. And I know a lot of us have these in the back of our car, and we have them there just to hang out, and then we got to get somebody else to do it. But Olivia is going to show us the correct way to jump a car. And to help us out, I've got Sister Nikisha here. Come on out. So we are going to actually let Olivia do this. So while Nikisha gets into position, I want you to first of all explain to us the correct way how to use jumper cables before we even get to the car. So explain to me, what's the difference in the red and the black?
Okay, the red is positive and the black is the negative.
Okay.
So we use this here into say that if my car is down and I need assistance of any stranger passing, the first thing they're going to ask, do you have jumper cables? So these are jumper cables I have in my hand.
Jumper cable.
So when I obviously I will go and get my jumper cables, and then we're going to hook up the batteries.
All right, so before we get this demonstration started, Olivia, I have a question for you though, and I just want to clarify this. No, can a truck jump a car, or should we stick to just cars jumping cars and trucks jumping trucks?
We should stick to a car jumping a car. Why? Because the truck carry a 24 volt battery,
Right.
which is 2 batteries they carry.
Okay.
So it will not be wise for a truck to jump a car or a car, because eventually
It will burn out.
it will burn out somebody.
Right. So basically, it's too much power for the car.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I thought all you needed was just power to get it started. But it is better if you're down. Make sure you're calling somebody that has a car.
Yeah.
And if you got a truck, call somebody that has a truck. Or if all else failed, then you could call your insurance and then we'll send somebody else. All right.
Okay, here I'm going to give Sister Nakisha Sealy these cables to hook up. So on the battery, we have here on this right side. If you don't have this here, always look for the plus sign, which you have is a positive sign. If you don't have this right, on the battery located on the body of the battery is the positive, and on the next side is the negative one. When Sister Nakisha hook up her cables on the battery, always make sure at the other end of the cables you have these apart. Reason why is that if you have them close together, they could spark, blow a fuse or something in the fuse box. So we want to keep these apart while the next person is hooking up the cables to the battery. So we can put the positive here. And remember, we are keeping these here far apart, so we don't want them to spark. On the next end of the cables here, we're going to hook it up on the other car that will need jump starting. So Sister Nakisha, go ahead. You're looking for the positive one, and on the other side is the negative one. There we have it. While Keisha is getting ready to start the car and the car is running, we are giving the car that is starting power to the car that is down, so that the battery can build back up. Okay, now it's time to remove jumper cables. It doesn't make a difference how you take them off. Just squeeze the top and remove them. I always make sure you keep them far apart from each other.
Yeah.
We have Sister Nakisha removing the other side. Always keep them far apart. And there we go, guys. The jumper cable can touch each other now because we are wrapping them up to put them back up in our trunk.
All right, ladies. So I also want to show you something else that Olivia taught me earlier. Have you ever took a look at your tire and realized that there's so much information on here? Trust and believe it's not just to tell you what brand of tire it is. This actually has some very valuable information for you. So we're going to go through what each of these things on here mean, because it can benefit you anytime you need to go buy one, get a new tire, get a new rim, or even something as simple as putting air in your tire. How many times have you asked, how much air are you supposed to put in? But now you can know specifically what is the right ones for your car. So the next time that you go outside, take a look for these 3 letters, PSI, which stands for pounds per square inch. This basically gives you the number that is recommended for your tire in terms of your air pressure, because each car has a recommended tire pressure that will give you the best gas mileage performance, handling, and tire life for your car. And it is written also on the vehicle's door. So if you open your car door, there should be a sticker right there that can give you all the information that you need. But make sure you take a look on your tire to see if you can find what is specifically for yours. So, Olivia, thank you so much for today. I know that may have been short, but we do have a part 2 for you hopefully soon, so look out for that on our social media. But first of all, let me just tell you, Olivia, thank you. I know for some of these viewers, they may say, oh, but them is basic things, but I'm telling you, there are some people out there that did not know some of that. And some of those things I learned today also for the first time. So thank you.
You're very much welcome.
Thank you so much. And I have to say that I admire the fact that you do this on the side, and these are just the basic things. So that means that you do much more when it comes to the picking down.
Yes.
And we will get into that part a little later on, because I want to get my hands greased up and thing too. But before we do go, I have a couple questions that we're just going to ask you very quickly, some basic things that some of our audience wanted to know. So the first thing is that one of our audience members wanted to know if our windshield wipers, right? We're at work, we're parked in the sun for long hours of time. If it is wise to keep it on the windscreen, or should we push them up?
Well, actually, for years, people leave them on the windscreen.
I have.
Because the windscreen tend to get so hot from the sun.
Right.
So, yes, you could leave them up so that the rubber on the wipers will not get dry rot so fast.
Okay.
And then even so, when the rubbers get dry rot, you still hear the squeezing sound because of the dryness, and then you end up with scratches on your windscreen. So you avoid doing that. Yes, you can leave out your wipers
Well,
the car is parked and you're at work.
So that will actually increase the longevity of my wiper blades.
Yes.
All right, so now for those of you that may be parked at work for the whole day, that's another tip that you can do. I see some people doing it, but if you didn't know, now you know why for that. And one last question now, we're talking about wipers. So sometimes I know I go to the supermarket, go to the gas station, the car places, and I see the wiper fluid, but I don't always want to buy that. But I've heard before to don't use like squeezy in your the wiper bottle. Can you give us some suggestions then, and what's the best thing to use in there if we don't have the wiper fluid?
Well, some people mostly use water as the quickest thing, but you can use rainwater.
See that? And we just had rain. I hope y'all were collecting some of that rain there the other day. But so now we know that we can actually use rainwater inside there, and it will be okay to use in your car. So that was just a couple of questions that came in, and we wanted to make sure that we got those out. So Olivia, once again, thank you.
You're very much
I had fun. It was hot. It's a hot day, but we appreciate you. We thank you for everything. And you'll be hearing from us again. There is going to be a part 2. Trust and believe. So for now, that's it for Community Conversations. I'll go on.
So I got all dressed up in my gear just to learn how to jumpstart my car. In addition to everything that we learned for tonight, trust me, that was a good set of information. I cannot wait for part 2. However, ladies, we have something very special in store. We want to encourage you. Stay tuned to all of our services this week. Remember, this entire week we are being ministered to by Apostle Sandra Holford. So ladies, tune in for our Wednesday night Bible study. Do not forget at 6 p.m. on both our Facebook and as well YouTube, 6 p.m. on People's Cathedral, we will have Apostle Sandra Holford. Then again, in our miracle service, we want to encourage you, come on out and be ministered to. But then the best thing, guess what? Friday night, pajama talk. So ladies, you'll be receiving your phone calls this week. You'll be told what special things we have in store, what we need you to do in order to come prepared for Friday night. So, ladies, it's going to be a fun session. I am entirely excited and overjoyed as to what good things await. But men, we're leaving you out. We are not leaving you out. Upstairs in the upper room, because we ladies will be in the sanctuary, as Pastor Jewel told you. Keep straight and go right upstairs to the upper room. You will have a special session all done for you by Pastor Ezron and Pastor Jefferson. So you're not left out. But ladies, I can't wait to see you Friday night.